Okay, so I'm thankful for the grace of God that didn't leave me just relying on creation as my only excuse. As a kid, I grew up in a church, and I actually found recently a Bible that I was given when I was about 8 years old. I think actually 8 years old. And so I'm excited to be able to work with Bibles for children. Many of you know more about Bibles for children than I do because as I went through the address list, I found your names written in the address list. So I know many of you are supporters. Many of you guys have even helped box Bibles and worked with Bibles for children. But I will start from the beginning anyway. So in 1985, after Bob Howe was serving with Child Abandonment Fellowship as a state director, he saw the need to get Bibles into the homes of unchurched families. And so he and some other state directors talked it over for about a half an hour at lunchtime. And in 1985, they decided to start the ministry Bibles for Children. And by 1986, they had it organized as a 501c3. I don't move that fast. So I'm very thankful for people like Bob who see a need and have the ability to move forward on it and come up with a ministry to meet needs. If you look at the logo here, this is kind of a side note. If you look at the logo, you can see that the logo quality is subject. That's because it's been photocopied many times, and we don't really have an electronic copy of that logo other than one that was photocopied. And so on the back table there by the CEF stuff, on the same table is our letter that's going out for Bibles for Children. And one of the things on that letter is a contest to come up with a new logo. So if you guys are artists and would like to take that challenge, even these little guys down here can draw a picture, and we will have a little contest to see if we can come up with another logo, or we may just redo this logo that we have. So just to kind of look at the budget, Bibles for Children does not pay any of the staffs. All the staff is volunteer staff. And so there you see the breakdown of where the budget is spent. And these are kind of numbers that I got from Candy's work, and I just made percentages out of them. About 55% of the budget goes towards Bibles, 35% towards postage, and roughly 10% towards office needs such as phone and stamps and phone and other office needs, paper or whatever. Generally, we buy economical Bibles. However, we don't buy the cheapest Bibles that are meant for handing out because often those are like 6 font. And even before I needed glasses, it was hard to read them. And so we try to stick with 10 font or greater print so that way anybody can read them. And so that drives the cost up a little more than what we could if we had smaller print Bibles. So just to look back through history, in 2002, they shipped over 30,000 Bibles. Up to about 2006, the Bible ship dropped to about 7,000 per year. And during COVID, they dropped down to 700 Bibles shipped. And then this year, we're just over 1,000 Bibles shipped. And so one of the main goals for the ministry is to build back our contact base. We do have a lot of people on our support list, but just getting the word out to ministries that there are Bibles available to get in the hands of children. And so that's a major prayer request, that we would just make those contacts and allow people to know the availability so that they can get free Bibles to hand out to their ministry. Also on the back table, you'll see kind of the purpose statement of Bibles for Children. And so you can review that to see how the ministry uses the Bibles. So some of the places that these Bibles are used in, VBSs, local churches, church right here in Sydney got Bibles from us last year for their VBS. So basically any children's ministry, we do desire that there is direct contact with the child that's getting the Bible, not just set out on a table somewhere and not knowing who's picking it up. We even encourage people to visit the homes of the children to give the Bible if possible. And so VBSs through local churches, backyard Bible clubs, whether backyard Bible clubs or in-school clubs or after-school clubs, release time clubs. A lot of these are CEF clubs, and you'll see, I think I got some numbers coming up soon, where a very high percentage of the Bibles go through CEF, being that it started with CEF. A lot of the contacts, the base of contacts is CEF. So that's still a lot of clubs. Camps, these are actually pictures from a JYC camp in Western New York, out beyond Bath. And so they sent me some photos. They ordered a couple cases of Bibles this summer before their camp started. Only 2 or 3 days before their camp started, but Candy is very efficient and got them in the mail, so they actually arrived on time. Summer Love Run, this is just an example of a special outreach that someone did. One of the neat things about being involved in this ministry, just like any ministry, is seeing how God is using his people to reach other people. And so this church sets up on different streets each weekend, and they have Bibles to hand out and some other things to encourage kids to come. And so this is a way that they make contacts throughout their church's area to reach their community. So real quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I'm probably already over time, and we do want to hear from Joel. This is from Psalms 119, 9 through 16. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We all know the word is needed, and without the word, we're really in trouble. And the next thing is that the word must be internalized. So it's something that we have to read, we have to memorize, we have to make part of our lives so that it can affect our lives. And then the internalized word produces joy and praise. And really, that's what our whole life is about, is bringing praise and worship to our Creator. So what does the future look like? Some of this slideshow was made back in the spring, and I would hope that some of this would already be done. But like I said, I'm a little slower than Bob Howe, so we're still working at it. Growing the committee, we're hoping to get some new committee members involved with the ministry. We're hoping to get a prayer coordinator that would try to get people involved in praying for the ministry, praying for the Bibles as they go out, praying for the ministries that we have contact with. And then also we'd like to visit some of the supporting churches. Obviously with COVID, like a lot of ministries, we haven't been able to get out and visit as many churches as we'd like to over the past years. We're praising God that this year the churches are open to visits, and so we've been able to do some of that. So what are we working on? We're working on an email list. We're trying to transfer. There's about over 600 people on the mail list. We're trying to transfer some of those people into an email list, and that way we can cut some postage costs. We will still send out regular mail to everybody on special occasions, but we want to be able to send out emails to some of the people more regular. Potential for a web page. One of the churches I shared with, was excited just about the fact that there is a lot of electronic versions of the Bible that we can use, and so a web page might give us the ability to promote access to things like that. But ultimately, we're interested in getting a paper copy of the Word of God in everybody's hands. That's something that doesn't shut down when the power goes out, and so we'll always have the paper Bible available. And then social media for promotion. I'm not really in this generation, and so if there's any of you that really have an interest in the Bible and interested in social media, that may be something that you would help us with. So that's the next slide, is what is your part in this ministry? We do appreciate so many of you that have been involved in the past, still continue to support the ministry. And if you're interested in knowing more, you can talk directly with me or Candy. And then, like I said, there's a newsletter on the back table there. So thanks a lot for listening to this portion of my spiel. Now we're going to move on to CEF, and I'll try to get done quick, okay, Joel? Everybody here knows CEF. I think as I look around, there's almost nobody here that hasn't been involved in CEF. And so that's one of the first things I want to say is just thanks so much for your support, whether it's financial or being involved, volunteering, or even coming to camp as kids. I am very grateful for the involvement that I have from this church and even from the greater community. Real quick, support. I always had trouble sharing about support, so I figured if I make it the first slides up, I get it out of the way quick. If you just look at that really quick, our budget is 6,113 per month. Committed sort of support is about 4,000, but our average income is about 5,200. And the bottom there has a breakdown of how that those numbers get divided up. We also have chapter support as we try to raise money to directly run the camp and other programming. So our monthly support goal is $3,000. Currently, we have about $350 of committed support, average of about $884 over the last 12 months. And that doesn't include money that was given directly towards development. And so the development money would change these numbers a lot, but the development money is earmarked just for development. And you can see most of that money we're hoping to raise is really for staffing needs. I'm kind of running out of the ability to keep up with everything, so it'd be nice to have some staffing help. So that's kind of where we're trying to raise support for. Again, just to run through, this is some camp pictures from this summer. We did have a great summer this year, still a little lower than pre-COVID numbers, but a good number of kids came through. Only one salvation decision, but we had about 5 or 6 kids that were really full of good challenging questions, came back multiple times after the invitation. And so that was just a blessing to be able to talk to them from the scriptures and try to answer their questions. And I learned a lot, too, about social media that I didn't know about. So TikTok is something I need to learn about, I guess. And then this is one of the things we had this summer that was different than previous summers is we had a lot of church groups using the property. So one of the church groups, one of their members had a drone. And so these are some aerial shots from the drone. And so that's encouraging because as we switch to overnight camping, we will need more volunteers, both adult and older teen, college-age kids. And so I'm hoping that this increased church contact will also result in an increase in volunteers and also other people just using the camp property. VBS in local churches, we didn't do any VBSs this year, so that's a little discouraging. In the past years, we've had up to 11 VBSs over the summer months, and so that's something that I would like to build back. Contacts with the church. A lot of churches are still not doing VBSs. Good News Clubs, our first club for this year will start up October 26th up in Milford, so you can pray for that. That is the only club that we're going into a school for. The other schools, there's one school still considering whether they're going to let us in, and 2 of the schools said they don't want outside non-school staff in the school. And property development, I'm going to flip through this real quick. Most of you have been there. So it's coming along pretty good. If you look at the work done, you can be encouraged. If you look at the work that's not done, you can be discouraged. And so we're very thankful for what God has done up there, providing finances and people to help work and the work that got done. But we just pray that we would be able to move forward on it. Right now, the big goal is to raise support for the kitchen development, which requires a hood and Ansel system, fire depression system, which is about a $25,000 expenditure. And so thanks so much for your involvement. Like I said, we always need help. You guys have always been there to help, and we look forward to how you can be involved with us in the future. And just a big thank you for all that you've done for this ministry and also for our family.